All right, welcome back to the third episode of Happy Sack. Today, I'm hosting Charlie. I'm with Shea and Ashton, and today we're not alone. We have our first guest. His name is Ryan Watson.
Welcome, Ryan.
Ryan, you played two sports,
Correct.
football and wrestling. Can you tell us a little about it to start?
So I grew up playing football since I was in second grade, and I played up until about fifth grade, and then till fourth grade, and I chose not to play fifth and sixth grade, which is always a big regret of mine. And then I played from seventh grade to the senior year.
Nice. So, can you compare and contrast the differences between football and wrestling?
It's polar opposites on a sense of the conditioning and kind of the mentality. You need to be good at wrestling, and the mentality you need to be good at football. Football's kind of a slow and methodical sport to an extent, but while wrestling just way more intense and kind of exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously haven't played football, three of us. How is it playing football at the high school? I know you played back in the day, but
Yeah.
how is it?
I went to ESPN. All right.
How is it playing or on a team of that size?
A lot of people think that it would be kind of you don't know really. Most of the people don't have close bonds with anyone, but we also had a smaller football team compared to other schools. We only had 50, 55 kids, while other schools get upwards to 80 kids, and we were always a close-knit group from start to finish through the wins and the losses.
And I know your role changed obviously as the seasons pass, and I know your senior year was your biggest role on the team. How did it go from kind of being on the sidelines to being out there as a starter?
So it's obviously vastly different. I went from being a junior playing in JV games, not seeing 5 varsity snaps through my entire junior season, and then senior year I was starting on offense, starting on defense some games, starting both sides some games. So it was way different. I think I embraced the role as best as I could, and I really enjoyed it.
It's good.
What was it because obviously you guys had a little bit of a rough season, but what was it like to have 2 back-to-back wins in the last 2 games?
So yeah, that was really good, especially because they were just blowout wins, and those are just it was just kind of it didn't feel good to like how winning a game feels. It just kind of felt relief that we got him out of the way, because that 0-8 stretch was just terrible.
We all said in the last episode how it's obviously hard having a bunch of seniors leave and kind of having all those roles to fill. How do you think the team will be in the future once those freshman, sophomore guys get to that junior, senior age?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a way different team next year, especially considering the core of the team next year all started. Most of them started both sides this year.
Yeah.
This junior class is legit. They're going to make some noise next year, especially in the Middlesex League.
You heard it here first, folks. Be on the watch for that.
Did you, obviously, your number 77 for football, was there any reason for it, or it's just a random number?
There's a couple of reasons for it. Every football number I've ever worn, I was 27, 37, 47, 57, and 67 actually one year. And I always kind of liked the number 7 at the end of it. And then one of my favorite players of all time, Taylor Lewan, who's a left tackle for the Tennessee Titans, he wore number 77, and that's what inspired me to wear it freshman year, and I just stuck with it.
Yeah. Real quick, Shea and Ashton, do you guys have any reasons for your numbers?
I was 4. It was my dad's, or it still is. It's my dad's favorite number, and he actually forced me to wear it in 4th grade. He sent your dad, Coach Joe, an email, and he was he wanted me to have. He didn't force me, but he wanted me to have 4, and then it just I was 4 throughout 4th, 5th, 6th grade, and then freshman year. Shout out to Owen Mitchell. I still haven't gotten over that. He took my 4. It was his first year playing real basketball, and he took 4.
You got to double up.
I had 44 because it was the closest thing, and it was funny because 4 and 44 were the same size jersey, so I was trying to get him to switch, and he said that his fit better, but they were the same size. But obviously, I'm just messing around, I'm over it. And then sophomore year JV, I went back to 4 because it was open, and then junior year was my first season on varsity, and a senior had 4, so I went back to 44, and then senior year 4. So yeah, it's been 4 my whole life in some way. How about you, Ashton?
from one of the sports when I played when I was a kid. Like when I first moved to Wilmington in 3rd grade, I was 57 for football. It didn't really have any meaning, but we did get to go to like this like ESPN thing in Florida as a team because we were like one of the better teams in Mass. So and it was like the 57th anniversary. So I always thought that was cool to
Ryan
like.
was on your team.
Yeah, what number did you wear that year?
47. I was 47 that year.
Ryan sadly couldn't make it to Florida. He chose Skylanders, if anybody knows what that is, over it. But we had a good time. We went 0-2 and had to forfeit the second game to Hawaii. But that's okay
Oh, really? Wait, why?
because they were beating us so bad and we were like getting hurt.
You called the mercy rule on them?
Yeah, I mean they were like beating us like 6 touchdowns.
They also
to
had
none.
like legit like 6th graders on
Yeah,
their team.
like the difference between a 3rd grader and a 6th grader. I mean, all of you guys know.
Hawaii kids, man.
Yep, my brother's from Hawaii. Fun fact.
Shout out, Cal.
Yep, shout out my boy Kaline Miranda. Gave him the whole government, but my number this year for lacrosse, I guess, is another one, 17. So I've had 7s at the back of my 2 most notable numbers. 17 because I wanted to change the aura around the number because Johnny Ryan wore it last year. So, I wanted to make it better. We all love Johnny Ryan, but, we know how he acted.
All right. You have the next segment on there?
Watson, so obviously you didn't make the playoffs this year for football, but last year you did. What was it like? Did you guys win 2 games in the playoffs or 1?
We won the first round of the playoffs.
What was that? Was that like anything special to you?
I mean, my experience, no, because it was in Middleborough, Massachusetts, right? It was like a 3-hour drive. I had a migraine on the whole bus ride over. I didn't bring sleeves because if you're a lineman, you're not allowed to wear sleeves. So I was standing in the freezing cold with no sleeves, just watching. It was awesome though, because we were like the underdogs. Like every like Mass football stats, whatever that account is, they predicted them to blow us out, and we actually won by
That's
like
awesome.
4 touchdowns. So that was cool. Their student section was gone by halftime. Now, it was cool to see. I wasn't really playing in it, but it was definitely cool to be
you
there.
didn't, you didn't
Still
get
cool
like
to be
any
a part of
coverage
it.
time minutes or anything.
No,
Yeah.
not on the playoff game.
But
What about you, Charlie?
what? Playoffs?
Yeah.
We know that soccer made the
well,
first
obviously, same reason I didn't play, but and we didn't win the first round. But it was pretty cool because it was like a close game, and like obviously we got like not blown up, but like in like the first 20 minutes it was like a 2-0 game, so we were kind of like out of it, like pissed off, I guess. And then like then we had 2 goals. No, we scored once, and then they scored again, and it was 3-2. So, yeah, we lost. Had a few
Yeah,
chances,
that's
but we
annoying.
lost.
But I know we've talked a little bit about the contrast between wrestling and football, like the mentality and what it takes and the conditioning. But like, is there anything to how? I mean, because at the high school, football is easily the biggest sport, like size-wise, and then wrestling. I don't know if you have the exact numbers, but
Like
pretty sure.
14, 11, 13 kids.
Yeah,
man, or that
it's the
ballpark.
smallest sport.
By far, yeah.
Is it really 13 kids?
It was around. We couldn't even fill out every weight class.
Still got
because of
2
it.
wins though, right?
Yeah, we picked up 2 team wins. One against Franklin Tech. That's where I picked up my first varsity win.
Nice.
And then I picked up another varsity win against Malton Catholic in our quad meet. So yeah, those were cool. It was cool to be around, especially because the team was so close. Football is obviously very close, but the team, like, because every day you're just at practice, working your ass off, just sweating, just getting conditioned, rolling around with each other, and it just builds a bond like unlike any other sport, I feel like.
And how is it being like a first-year player on the team, but being a senior too?
It was definitely weird because there was like I didn't have a voice whatsoever, but I was like one of the older kids in the room. It was definitely weird, but
Right.
and especially because I was the only one who fit into the 195 weight class. I was going against kids who've been wrestling since they were like 4, just getting destroyed. I wrestled at the Woburn Invitational. I wrestled this kid. It was Paxton Green from Tewksbury. He was like 6'3". He's the number 2 195er in the state as a sophomore last year, and he just pinned me in I think like 11 seconds. Like it wasn't even like. It's just such a difference. Like football, you can kind of hop. Like Christian Febo hopped right into football. Is one of the best offensive players on the team.
Yeah.
Wrestling does not work like that unless you're like 6'3" and just like massive, like that kid from Melrose. But like
Right.
Johan.
no, not Johan. Braden Marceau.
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
He's playing football at Stanford. He just kind of started wrestling as a junior, and he plays in New
Stanford.
England's.
What was it like getting your first varsity win, like your personal first varsity win for wrestling?
It was awesome. Like it was against this kid who was way bigger than me, and he just kept you kept reaching over me trying to get like a collar tie in, and I slipped an underhook in and locked in a reverse headlock, and I just kind of worked him all the way down. I got him on his back. I got my back points, and like my left arm was under his left shoulder blade for legit 20 seconds, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting the pin. And I just heard my coach Mitchell, shout out, he screamed, "Move your left arm!" That's exactly how it sounds. I just slipped it out and just leaned forward, and I got the pin. It was such a relief too, because I was late in the season. It took me a while to get my first varsity win.
You got it though.
That's awesome. I don't know if it was like the first girl to be on the team, but I know Hannah really was the first girl. So we had a girl on the team this year, Hannah. How was it like playing with her and her obviously being the only girl on a team of all boys?
Yeah, like when I first started and I heard about that, I was like, oh, that's gonna be kind of weird, it's like girl, but like Hannah's like so like just like outgoing and like easy to talk to, so like it wasn't weird whatsoever. And she had a background in jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and Krav Maga. She had a couple of martial arts backgrounds, so she was very good and she was very experienced. And there was times where we got matched up, just how like the drills worked. And there was one time I weighed 195 pounds. She wrestled at 126, and she almost legit pinned me one time because she's so technically sound, and I would often just rely on my strength, and I slipped up and just found myself on my back, and I was dead.
And she won like a few things, right?
She got third at Girls All States and then got fifth at Girls New England's, and she wrestled in 2 all-girls tournaments all year. I think she got second at one of them and first at the other.
That's legit.
So, yeah.
Talking about like some of like, because like the whole point of this is really getting more middle schoolers to come to the high school and play sports. Like, if you were speaking to an 8th grader, because I know you only played your senior year, would you have like told your 8th grade self that you like should have done wrestling all 4 years? Would have been something valuable to yourself?
Yeah, 100%. Like it would have made me just like a better football player, a better person, just harder worker. Like wrestling, once you wrestle, there's so much other stuff in life and just in sports that just seems so much easier, because it really is mentally, like not even physically, but to mentally push yourself through a wrestling practice. And like one of the harder ones, or like get yourself, like when my first win ever, it was at this like JV tournament in Billerica. It went three periods, like, and we were tied and we went to overtime. And I ended up like, how overtime works, the first person to get a takedown wins. I took my guy down like within 5 seconds, and I could like barely stand. And Coach Riley was like, "Listen, that kid was a better wrestler than you, but you got that because you wanted it more."
That's
it's just
awesome.
like, it's like one of those things, like you just have to, like, it's such like a mental thing, and you can apply it to all aspects of life.
That's awesome.
So yes, I would tell my 8th grade self to wrestle through high school.
Would you recommend picking up football to a middle schooler that was like considering it?
Yeah, like if they've never played before.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Because like you look at like all these kids, like Christian Febo, just for an example, like was a freak.
Yeah.
Like made some of those like insane catches that looked like he'd been playing since he was 7, but he's literally started playing as a junior in high school. Like
that was his first season?
Yeah, it was his first season ever playing football this year. Like you
could,
he played soccer his whole life. You can pick it up and be good at it if you just like want it enough and just work hard enough.
And for wrestling, were you the same weight like throughout the season, or did you cut? Because I know that's hard to like.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things. I went into the season and I was like, I'm gonna cut to 182 and wrestle at 182. At the end of football, I was walking around at like 205, and then Clyde Lambert, he was like 200 benches, 315 pounds, squats 405 pounds. Animal. Clyde Lambert's an animal. And he cut down to 82 before football even ended. So I was like, oh, okay, never mind. And there was like, 95s right there. So it was 205. I lost legit the first week of wrestling. I was losing 3 pounds of practice. Just weight was just flying off.
That
me.
must have got to pretty hard.
Yeah. So it was like I never had to experience a tough weight cut like that. Like maybe for the first meet I had to watch what I eat, but I never had to cut. But like it wasn't bad. I didn't have to cut.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine how hard it is for guys that are trying to cut weight gain weight. Like, I can just imagine how hard that would be.
There was times when Chella or Sconey, they'd be Julian Chella and Nikai Sconey, the 2 captains, they'd be cutting weight. Like Chella had a tough weight cut. Chella, at the end of football, I think he was like 160, and you see Chella, he's pure muscle.
He's not.
And he cut all the way down to 45 for like the second meet of the season, just like insane.
How would that work? like is he just like not eating like a nut? Like is he like
So
how
like
does
I
it
mean
work?
it's
'Cause
listen, it's not, weight cutting's not the healthiest thing. It's one of like
Yeah.
the more frowned upon aspects of the sport, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But if you do it the right way, and like it's not like old school. Like old school, they'd have people running around in sauna suits in like a boiler room trying just losing 40 pounds. Like no coach is gonna ask no coach is gonna ask you to do that. So like if that's a worry, like going into wrestling as a parent, I can see that. But it really won't be. It's not gonna be that bad.
Yeah, I've also seen like like certain kids wear like a third sweatshirt, like baggy pants.
Oh, yeah,
in
that
practice
happens.
Just to kind of
Michael Ings, senior, another first-year wrestling senior, walked into the wrestling room at 225, cut all the way down to 195 in like 3 weeks, and like and then like for his first meet at 195, destroyed his shoulder. So like just
I remember it was like last year, like during my Spanish class, I had it with like Chella, and like we would like have like mass breaks on the track. And he would just be like doing laps at a cut weight.
just running, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a grind, man.
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
brutal. That aspect's brutal. No, like I said, no coach. If you don't want to do that, no coach is gonna force you to do that. They'll be like, hey, Charlie, why don't you cut down to like, why don't you go down to the lower weight class? And you're like, oh, I don't really feel comfortable. They'll be like, cool. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
They want you to be healthy and safe first and foremost.
That's probably like the mentally hardest like sport
Aspect
though,
of
right?
Oh,
or
the
just,
sport in
like,
general,
As
yeah.
far as and that will like probably the hardest part of the sport is if you really want to cut weight and you're already like a 16-year-old like skinny kid, how hard that must be.
Yeah, and and also like the conditioning part, like you just said, like there's a clip of Jordan Burroughs. Is like there's a lot of kids who just think they're in wrestling shape. Like if you're in football shape, you're not in wrestling shape. Or you're in soccer shape, you're not in wrestling shape. And he's like, if you're in baseball shape, you're not even in football shape. Like so, like it's just a whole different level of conditioning now, and like just grit really that you need to be able to wrestle.
All right. Sounds good.
One last question before we let you go. Did you have like any favorite moments or memories through like either sport for your 4 years?
Yeah. So football. Well, here's a couple from football. Football, like Wakefield, my junior year, we beat them in like double overtime. Everyone stormed field. That was even like I said. I wasn't. Yeah, these kids ran into each other. It's a pretty funny picture of that. But yeah, but like even like I said, like I didn't play a snap in that game, but that energy was just sick. And also like Medford this year, obviously, because picking up that dub, especially at home, like Drake it was cool, but Drake it that win like it was like 43-7 on like a Saturday afternoon. And Drake it, like none of our people were there.
Yeah.
And I remember I said to Ali in the huddle after like the fourth touchdown, I was like, dude, this sucks. Because I'm like dying, like it was so hot out. But like, and it was just Drake it was just kind of too easy, but Medford just was like a hard fought blowout when it was in front of our home crowd. It was sick.
That game against Wakefield last year was insane.
Yeah,
like,
I remember
me
that.
and Ashton were there. Like a bunch of kids from
Bunch
the
of
high
kids
school
left
were
at
there.
half.
I think I
Yeah.
had one on
Yeah,
the left.
like
Yeah.
you just said, a bunch of kids left at halftime, and me and him stayed, and
It
we
was
were
like-
like on the field
At one
almost.
point in the stands, it was like down to like me, you, Vinyl, like
It was a crazy group of kids.
yeah. And then we all went down to the field, like standing near the end zone, because like that's how what was that, like double overtime works? And
Yeah,
overtime rules.
it's like a shootout essentially.
And we ended up winning at what Tommy Mallinson got
No,
it.
it was
No,
no.
it was after
He
that.
got the touchdown, but then it was a goal line stop.
Yeah.
It was just like they tried to run it right up the gun. Everyone
they-
just clamped down and got. It was so.
It was like
so cool.
back and forth, like
No,
like,
yeah.
oh my, like just like
And
it
that
was
that
insane.
Wakefield team, obviously that was like their budding team. Like now they obviously this past year they went undefeated state champs. But that was like, that's when that team started to get good. So like that
Yeah.
team, that was crazy.
You
That's
guys
stuff
did
like
good.
that. That's why football is the best sport on earth. Just moments like that. It's just awesome.
Yeah,
All right.
it's great,
Well,
man.
thank you. I think that's gonna do it for Happy
Thanks for
Sack.
having me on.
Thanks for coming, man.
Me, Shea, Ashton. and our
What are we
guest
doing
Lawson.
next episode?
And our next episode, we are going to be highlighting our favorite memories and moments throughout our 4 years of high school. So
Thank you guys for
Thank you for
watching.
watching.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
again to Ryan
Thank
for
you.
coming on. We'll see you guys soon.
ear pods.
That was good.
That was awesome.